Volvo Autonomous Solutions is building the future. You're building the future of autonomous trucking. As you build that future, how are you approaching autonomous trucking?
Hi, Grayson. It's great to be here. I've listened to your show many times, so very excited to be here. Coming to your question, how are we approaching autonomous trucking? I think we approach autonomous trucking with the strength which Volvo brings. Volvo has built trucks for decades. We know how to produce, scale, and industrialize the trucking part and the trucks, but we also are approaching the complexity of autonomy. We understand what the autonomy piece adds into the complexity, and more importantly, we know how the transportation or the logistic challenges which comes from that. So we are approaching from a holistic point of view, taking in all the challenges and bringing a balance in how we deliver those solutions.
Why was the decision made early on to take a holistic approach? And I want to emphasize for our audience that holistic approach is not just over the road trucking, it also goes to your mining quarry business. Why was that decision made to take a holistic approach?
So I think it comes down to where Volvo Autonomous Solutions adds value, and especially when we are part of the Volvo Group. As I mentioned before, Volvo has the strength to know how to produce the trucks. How do we do that? Is that we know how to produce them with a platform scalable approach. So we are creating a autonomy enabled truck which can be working with many virtual drivers. Of course, in the off-road segment, we use our own virtual driver. And on the on-road segment, we go for a partnership. These two things have given us the strength that we can focus on our strength, but not only just the trucking part. On the off-road segment, we look at the full ecosystem. So we are looking at the site, the infrastructure, and all the complexity which actually goes there. On the on-road segment, like highway trucking, we are also looking into the infrastructure, the terminals, and also the hub-to-hub approach. This gives us the strength of the trucking part of the business, how to produce the trucks, and how to work with the partner who can actually produce technology at scale.
I'm a very big fan of the autonomy enabled truck strategy, where, for lack of a better term, you can essentially plug in a new virtual driver. To me, that's very reminiscent of what we're seeing happen with LLMs today, where you can drop in new models. Perplexity is doing it. Grok is doing it with a Q, not a K. And I want to highlight that because, as you and I both know, you turn on CNBC, you open the Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, DeepSeek is everywhere. And you penned a really interesting LinkedIn article about this. And I want to highlight this. And I'm going to quote you here. And you said, as a CPO, my job revolves around building innovative solutions that are scalable, cost effective, and impactful. Watching DeepSeek's journey got me reflecting on some key lessons about product innovation. What are you reflecting on? Because I see a lot of similarities to the approach where saying, okay, Volvo essentially has the truck, and we're going to allow you to plug in, if you want, a new virtual driver, in this sense, a new LLM.
Correct, correct. And I think the it kind of aligns the key thing is that the constraint and challenges in any industry, especially when you are scaling and when you are going to go with a go-to-market strategy, that means that you have to accept the challenges, turn them into your strengths. So when I saw how the whole LLM models, especially in the Gen AI domain, are evolving and how they're changing the dynamics of that industry, it has some parallels how we develop our own technology. But one key difference, and that difference is safety, and I'll come back to that later. The key reflection which I have is that we have to deliver, and we have to deliver at scale with the constraints what we have, and we should not wait for perfection. But here I contradict myself again. When it comes to removing the safety driver, there we have to slow down. We have to go and look at all the aspects of it. So when you're looking at I think at the moment, like you mentioned, the DeepSeek, that it has introduced a new way of doing things. Key thing to take away from this or many other innovations which will come in that field is that the technology will change at a very fast pace. The base vehicle or the base autonomy stack needs to be able to integrate quite well with that. If we can do that, we are part of a future, and we will be able to work with as the technology evolves. So this gives us a very good footing for future scale and to deliver autonomy.
I like it. No, you hedged your bets, essentially. So you're not locked into one solution, to one technology stack. From a product perspective, how do you make the Volvo VNL flexible so if a new technology comes along, you can you can plug it in before you get to all your safety and requirements. But how do you get there just from a pure product design standpoint?
Good. I think I go back to the basic principles when we are developing the autonomy enabled truck and even the base truck. You must have seen in CES when our leadership talked about the cost, the common architecture platform approach, and how it is scaling across platforms and across brands. We took the same principle when we started designing and defining what are the autonomy enablers in the truck, and we defined them based on those common architecture platform principles. That gave us the flexibility to have a common way of interfacing and integrating with any virtual driver, and also building redundancy in all those aspects. With that, we can actually put our autonomy enabled vehicle as a standardized platform which is ready for with redundancy for autonomy enabled trucks, and also the virtual driver stack software. We could use our own software stack, which we use in our quarry and mining or off-road segment. We could also partner with the on highway, as we are doing with our partner with Aurora. And this gives us a lot of strength. And it basically goes down to the core principle: build the platform with the common architecture principles. That helps us to scale.
To me, this sounds very similar. I just read the NVIDIA book, which was fascinating. This sounds like their CUTA, CUTA, their platform. Did you develop that software platform standard that your partners, Aurora, and your other partners that could plug in will have to develop and build upon that to integrate into your platform?
I think if, in simplistic term, if I take the autonomy enabled truck, especially now we talk on-road segment where we are partnering at the moment, we have the truck with its redundancy embedded in from the ground up. From day one, we have put safety in that. Then we have common interface, like a compute module, which then integrates with the virtual driver stack. In our case, with Aurora, where they can actually plug in the compute, the sensor modules, and we control the interfaces. Those interfaces gives us the capability to define our standardized platform. And those interfaces which are defined, they are mechanical, informational, physical, and software based. All those we heavily controlled and track. This gives us a true strength for scale and leveraging on our strength how to build the trucks, and our strength, our partner strength, how to innovate on the technology software platform.
Which is really interesting because if you look at your business, zooming out, your quarry and mining business, your autonomy solution is built in-house, and your over-the-road business was a partnership business. Well, why two different approaches to two different segments of the market?
So I think I take a step back and explain why Volvo Autonomous Solutions is not just know how to build the base redundant truck or enable the vehicles for autonomy. We've been in autonomy as well, especially we were developing our virtual driver platform. And that virtual driver platform does all the things which a typical stack does: sense, plan, act, and compute. And because we do that, we understand autonomy. On the off-road segment, we have the strength because we can control the operational design domain, the ODD, to our advantage. We can put a lot of complexity away from the onboard software stack to the infrastructure. That gives us a lot of strength. So we chose and decided to put our autonomy with our knowledge of understanding of the segments where our trucks and machines already work on. We chose to put the bets that we will win there with our own approach, and it gives us a lot of optimization capability to deliver for specific sites, because we are putting some of the complexity in the infrastructure, so it needs some optimization. And we have put some platform principles there as well. On the on-road segment, our go-to-market approach is that partnership is the new leadership. And since it was the new principle, which from our leadership, we have taken, then we took that principle for on-road segment and partnered with Aurora. This is one of the virtual driver. We could be integrating to many. And Aurora, as you know, brings a lot of strength. They've been in the industry for a while. Their software stack is very good. One of the examples which Sterling showed in CES about how it can detect 11 seconds earlier a person on a highway, it gives us a lot of strength. But more importantly, on highway segment, that partnership enabled us to integrate not only at the design level, the how we do the safety and how we do the sign-off, but also at the working team level. So it gave us a very good strength. And both these principles have given us that we get to the market fast, but also safely.
This publicly many times, so I'll say this again. Aurora has one of the best perception stacks I've ever seen. Absolutely phenomenal. They were very kind to put me in the truck in Palmer, Texas, and go for a ride. And what I saw from perception and it was second to none to Waymo. I would rank him as Waymo's got the world's best perception, and Aurora's right behind him at number two. Is really truly impressive. And we're staying in Texas. Palmer is where they filed an SEC filing. They're going to launch from Palmer to Houston, Texas, driver out by April. How does that work from a partnership perspective? I ask that because Nap Use has been doing a phenomenal job building the safety case and being very transparent with the public and what they're doing. How does that work from an operational standpoint?
Like you said, I think I'm myself and also we are very glad that we have a good partner in place who has a very good, robust approach to autonomy. Their software safety principles are very aligned with how we approach safety as well. To the point that what they have put forward for the driver and how that works, I would rather not comment because I think it's a live comment now, and I don't want to impact what they're doing now. But I have trust in our partner that what they're doing is to enable autonomy, to bring autonomy to scale and then the market with us.
I respect that. I'll just say I truly believe that they're going to do it, and they're going to do it when the safety case is closed, and they're going to do it in a way that makes our roads safer. From an overall perspective, how is Volvo Autonomous Solutions working with Aurora not only to deploy the Aurora driver, but to operate the service?
So, and that's where I think Volvo Autonomous Solution has made another strategic bet. And I believe this is a winning bet. We are not just developing and deploying the autonomous truck with our partner in the on-road segment. We are developing the whole ecosystem. By that ecosystem, I mean that our teams have developed the uptime, the transport management system, all the service enablers as well. And then we work with our partner, in that case, Aurora, and use their terminals to deploy the service. You must have seen our latest press release where we are doing the first commercial road for DHL. And that is only possible because Volvo Autonomous Solution has a strong grasp and have built the ecosystem around it. That gives us a solution provider strength compared to just the autonomous vehicle provider strength. And that opens up a lot of doors. And also our business model, currently the one we're working on, transport as a service, supports that strategical bet.
What role did the Volvo brand play in building out transport as a service? Because you have a brand that's well respected, not just in the trucking industry, but across the globe nationally.
We are part of the Volvo brand. I think comes with its own the high bar on safety, the high bar on quality and reliability, which we have to follow. Volvo Autonomous Solutions ensures that as we build that ecosystem, we leverage. It opens doors because of the strength of the brand to go to the customers like or partners like DHL, or also the support services and the typical trucking industry partners and service which we work with. The brand opens that for us, but it comes with a lot of responsibility. As I said, Volvo is known for its safety and the reliability we have to deliver. So while we leverage on the strength the brand gives us, it humbles us also to ensure that we live up to the true DNA of that brand brings.
The brand on the passenger car side of your brand is grounded in safety. I remember the special doors that were built with the bars in them. They had the handles that would open this way and the seatbelts, all the innovations that historically goes back to the Volvo brand, and those same safety innovations, as you and I both know, carry over to the truck side, in my opinion, helps build trust, not just with your customers, it also helps build trust with the public. Because a kid growing up in the 80s, every mom had a Volvo station wagon, and I'll never forget this. Why did you buy it? It's safe. And then we, as kids, it was cool because we had the vaccine where we could look out, but the parents kept saying it was safe, and that really resonated. And I still remember that. Zooming out for a moment and going back to the drawing board. Why was the plan to develop transport as a service developed, and why is that the model that you're taking to the market today that you're executing?
I think it comes down to the core. Autonomous trucking is a exciting but still new technology. And this will grow very fast. We want to add value to the customers, the service we provide, and that's why our strategic bet is to own that transport solution, provide a service to our customer. We know how to handle the challenges of a autonomous truck and how we can bring that in, how we maintain that, how we control the ODD, and how we integrate it heavily with our safety framework and safety claims, which are sitting at the top level to do that. That ensures that we play to our strength and we provide the true value But this is just one of the model, transport as a service model, we think that we will go with. It will open to many other doors, and we will, as we work with our partners like DHL or many other, we will learn, we will understand what the customer really wants, and then it will help us to create roadmaps which are aligned as the customers start working with us. Additionally, I see that as we will run this, we will understand the ecosystem better. We will understand, even if we change our business model in the future, we will truly understand what is it that the customer really wants. What are the pain points of running this as a transportation service? So I think that has given us a lot of strength, but also we are learning at a very fast pace.
Do you view this as you develop the product for future iterations as a learning phase? Even though you're going into commercialization, do you still view this as a learning phase?
I think autonomous trucking, and especially doing the sign off and removing the safety driver, and hopefully we'll come to that, the amount of responsibility that brings. We know our strengths, that we can produce trucks, they are safe and reliable. Volvo already has that brand embedded in. But the learning phase really comes that as we are running that with our customers, I'll pick the example which is public, with DHL, we are running how the whole process works. And this is where the learning really is coming in. But we are also running those trucks with the safety driver in. So we are also running the robustness of our system. We are going in, we are understanding how the truck is working with the autonomy, how the virtual driver, the autonomy stack is working, how our uptime services are working, how we are responding to those issues. So that's where I will see that we are learning, but we are learning with a strategic intent to learn. But we are not entering this with the mindset that we are new to this. We are entering this with the mindset that we are learning faster than the rest of the market, because we are actually going in and trying to solve the real customer problem. So it gives us a lot of strength.
It helps you long term because you're getting real world feedback. You're understanding, if the Google term, you're eating your own dog food, you're really truly understanding the product. And then we can go back in history. That gives you a strategic advantage because then you can reiterate your model, you can reiterate the product. There's a lot of advantages that come out of that. Today, you're operating with Aurora. Will the Aurora and Volvo trucks ever be available to customers outside of the Volvo Autonomous Solutions transport as a service?
Our first business model, is to transport as a service or solution model. We are definitely, I think, looking into, as I mentioned before, we will work with our customers, and if those business models change, we will definitely have a future. But because the key challenge is not to pass on the pain of operating these trucks to an end customer, we want to take that, and that's why we'll keep that with us for a while. I'm sure there is a future where once we learn the market, we understand the true value where we can add the value for the customer, it will open more doors. So I don't want to close the door, but I think the bet, I believe, is the right one to approach this problem.
Is one of the key things when you talk about value that the transport as a service is offering, is that the maintenance? Does maintenance play a key role in that value offering?
Correct. Maintenance and the TCO, the total cost of ownership, also helps us. It brings control for the whole ecosystem for us. We understand the truck, we understand the processes, and also the maintenance aspect of it. And it's not just the typical maintenance of a base truck as well. It gives us power to understand how we are managing the ODD, the operational design domain. How, if we are keeping it in, we use the power of that data to remain also safe, and we use that live. So our system actually helps us to understand what we are doing, how we are doing that. Yeah. So to your answer, yes, it brings value.
Another thing, the value is from a model perspective. Will the trucks be owned on Volvo Group's balance sheet, and then you'll just charge your customers a per mile fee, a per usage fee? Is that how this is going to go as transport as a service?
We within the Volvo Group, Volvo Autonomous Solutions owns those trucks. We run as a business. I think in terms of the value cost per mile, I'll rather avoid that. I think it kind of will distract with the challenge which we have. But our teams have have developed models by having a very good understanding of what the trucking industry is and what the processes are.
You have a good understanding of the trucking industry. I would say a great understanding of the trucking industry. The VNL's 28 years old. That's impressive. That's one heck of a run. How has that product changed over the last 28 years?
Let me start with this. I think 28 years ago, the VNL was beautiful, and the new one is brilliantly beautiful. I think I still stop and look at it, and feel proud, and some element of this engineering meeting the art. So there's a true proudness in that. Of course, the VNL has the autonomous VNL, the VNL autonomous, which we have built. It will drive further changes. I take a step back and look at just generally how autonomy drives these innovations. Typically, and this is not just limited to us, as autonomy comes, more redundancy is embedded. Architecture principles like a common architecture principle, they become more embedded because you want to scale. Suddenly, the next phase opens up to a standardized common platform like a software-defined vehicle kind of approach, because then suddenly you have. So I can just see that trend evolving over time. It will not just be driven by autonomy; it will be driven by many other factors. But in our case, the autonomy one, we can see that I think first we have enabled redundancy to be built in from the ground up. That has changed the way we build the base platform vehicle, and this will become a enabler for all the brands in the platform and all the vehicles in that portfolio. Yeah. So to your question, it has opened and it will open many doors, and it will change the VNL autonomous over the decades. And who knows what the technology industry will go through. The amount of speed with which the AI stack is evolving, I look forward to. I think we can go into the discussion about the sensor stack and the split of the sensor stack. So there are many changes which will come, I think. But having that common architecture platform approach to enable autonomy, we are part of that future, and I remain confident that we will be part of that future.
I agree with that. Will that common architecture carry over potentially to other models in the lineup, or will the VNL always be the flagship for autonomy?
So the word I initially used, common architecture platform, that means that VNL is the first one where you see the VNL autonomous with all the redundancies built in from the ground up. But that platform, the common architecture approach, is the underlying basis for all the other vehicles and platforms. It will take time to roll out, and I don't comment on the rollout plans of how they come in. But as they come in, what we have built now, it is built for scale. It will be enabling autonomy for their future brands and use cases.
As we go into the future, you and I both know the sensor suite's going to change. The compute's going to change. The algorithms that make the virtual drivers are going to change. Could we, at some point in the future, not asking for a date, not asking for a timeline, perhaps see the design of the trucks change as the technology matures and gets to a point where the industry and safety all really comes together and let's call it a true scalable commercial product?
This is one of the discussion I have with my colleagues. I think many times, and it changes as the technology is evolving. So rather than having a crystal ball, I can kind of paint few pictures of what that future may look like. One of them would be that the currently we use a sleeper cab, but we put our compute stack behind that. We also have other benefits. We because we do the testing, it helps us to do with the packaging. It also helps us to keep that space for other testing purposes. So we keep that. As the autonomy improves, I am sure the way the hardware and the software can be packaged into smaller pieces, the requirements on what the package space is needed is reducing. It will help us to go to to a smaller cab. Eventually, it can change the impact, the design, how you package sensors. And there's a big debate, Grayson, you already know, is autonomy all camera based or is it sensor? I think you already know that. What I'm saying is, regardless of that future, it will change. The sensor stacks will improve as well. The packaging will improve as well. But let me take you back to the same principle. Regardless of it does that, if we have built that we can integrate many types of sensors and we can integrate them and we have fixed those hard points, both hardware and software wise, we have actually created a vehicle which can help us to scale for future things. So this will add a true value for us to open more use cases in the future. And of course, the autonomy and the truck will change due to sensors, due to ODD as well, where the specific use cases are coming in. And here I'm talking about not a universal generic ODD or generic AI, which can fix one size fit all solution. I'm talking about specific areas and use cases where we are working on. So in both those scenarios, you'll see that the sensor demand, the compute demand, it will change.
The common denominator that you've discussed throughout this conversation has been scalability. Is that a key element of everything that Volvo Autonomous Solutions approaches where it has to be scalable?
I will say exactly, and there's lots more. But let me just put the why it is one of the key enablers is Volvo knows how to build trucks at scale. So if we have to bring autonomy, we have to make sure that we build autonomy from the ground up, which we have done. Now that has been the key principle, but the other key principle has been the safety aspects of it. How we will build, what redundancies do we want to put in? We have put in six redundant systems. I believe, and this is the that they should be. We should help us define that as a standard. That redundancy should be one of the key enablers for safety. But the other principle has been when and how you remove the safety driver. So not only just for scale, but safely at scale. And those two have been the balance. And Volvo has strength in both of them due to their heritage and DNA and what we do. And our partner, especially on-road segment, they bring that speed with which we can go for. And also then our partner also has the same approach to how they approach the safety. So yeah, it has its value. And on the off-road segment, it does the same. We do it in-house, but we follow the same approach, and we all in terms of scalability, but also the same approach on the robustness on safety. And safety is not just that we are making robust redundant system testing, like in simulation, like our partner does before we even turn up to the physical world or keeping it with the safety driver, but testing also in extreme use cases, especially for off-road segment, and gathering that data to improve our decision making. And lastly, the innovation, the third key element is the innovation in the process to decide when to remove the safety driver. Because nobody has done this before. So there's a lot of diversity and redundancy you have to put in that process as well. And we spend a lot of time building that process to understand how we're going to decide, when we're going to decide, how we will remain true to our core DNA of driven by safety. So I will say these are the core principles which has helped us develop the Volvo VNL Autonomous.
Our audience, we get a lot of audience feedback from time to time around redundancies. It's actually one of the most questions we get the most feedback on. Would you be willing to share with the audience what those six redundant systems are?
Yeah. So we got braking, and I can go more in detail if you have braking, steering, communication, power and energy storage system, and compute. And then we also have more redundancy on some indicator and hazard lights. But just to give you the context, it is not just about putting extra bit of everything. You really have to understand your overall safety framework and safety case to understand what key systems are needed. So braking and steering, of course, is the core one, but we have put a power and energy storage system in two different positions, just to ensure that when we execute a risk maneuver, our one set of batteries will power the primary system, and another set of batteries we have put in a different position at the back of the truck, to ensure that we have redundancy also how we design, so we have the power available. This gives us a lot of strength, and this principle applies to how we supply the power and communication to the compute module, which our partner brings, but also to how we drive our braking and steering. And lastly, the sixth one is the vehicle motion control. The vehicle motion control is everything to do with how the vehicle operates, both longitudinally and also laterally. And there we also have built the redundancy, how we will go and actuate on those. We believe because of those six redundancies, as we have embedded them into our common platform approach, we believe that this will help us to execute a minimum risk maneuver and still be able to remain safe to our true brand and true DNA.
That's extremely insightful. I'm going to dive down all that based on audience feedback here. One that comes up about communication. Is that a 5G link and then perhaps a Starlink satellite backup, or what does the redundancy look like from a communication standpoint? And on the backside, what does that enable? Is that for remote operation, or what does that enable?
I think so. Communication has two parts. One is the in-vehicle communication. Yeah, your typical the all the harness networks which you have. So you have to build redundancy into that. If something goes wrong and your core network is off, how do you build redundancy? So we have built redundancy in vehicle. But so our sense, compute, act, and all our actuators can still get the information. So there's redundancy in that as well. Of course, there's redundancy in then as our data is transmitted back to our areas where whatever the information we need to keep it safe. And Volvo Aurora also has certain design principles there. We also have redundancy there. I'd rather not go into the details where what our partner does. I think this is something they should deep dive more onto how they built the redundancy in terms of the virtual driver stack in communicating that. But within the truck itself, we ensure that the message, regardless of the problem, to the actuators and vice versa, is getting to those systems to execute a safe maneuver.
That's fantastic. I thank you for that. If you take the safety driving system, so that's for your on-road business where you have the partnership, and then you have the mining and quarry business. Does that redundancy carry over there? And then I ask are you doing open pit? Are you doing closed mines? And since, as you not both know, completely different environments of operating in, do you have to change sort of redundancies or just because of those environments are, I'll be frank, hostile because of the rocks and the conditions? And if you're underground, your lack of communications.
Very good question. And I think if you remember, initially I talked about how ODD changes the complexity. So by ODD, I mean operational design domain. So if you are in off-road segment, you can control the site quite well. You can control who will enter into the ODD, what actors would be in place. Whereas on highway, the control is less compared to an off-road. So this has given us the ability to move some of that complexity to the infrastructure. And that means that we don't need to deploy the same level of redundancy. Even if the base vehicle platform is enabling, we don't need to go and package that in there for those use cases or off-road segment, like in mining or quarry, because we can put the complexity outside. And why we do that? Total cost of ownership is one of the key principles. If we are still safe, and we are safe at the holistic level by controlling the ODD and the design of the product, we don't need to put all the complexity in one domain, especially if the use case is giving us the opportunity to be innovative, how we solve those safety challenges.
You and I both know a lot of the mining and quarry sites are highly controlled environments. You do not have foot traffic or any of the edge cases. They're highly controlled environments. ODDs are fascinating, especially when you look at the United States, where you've been very public in the DFW Texas Triangle. And so that tends to be flatter. But then if you go out west, we have hills and we have mountains and we have different terrain. And if you go to the northeast, we have snow. If you go to the southeast, you have a lot of monsoons. Could you see a point in the future where certain virtual drivers are deployed in certain ODDs because perhaps they have better strengths versus other virtual drivers?
I take a step back. First, how your virtual driver conceptually is built. If it is built with one size fit all, which I think is a far bigger challenge, it has to take into constraint what the typical ODD it's going to go and address the problem at. Some of those off-road segments like quarries and mines, they're normally on the extreme ends of the world with very adverse weather conditions, like you mentioned, and because of that, it drives certain sensor requirements, and there we go for more holistic sensor approach. By that I mean lidars, cameras, and radars. Lidars in snow have challenges, but then that's when the camera and radars, especially radars, can help. Cameras in low light condition in tunnels can have challenges, and that's where lidar can help us out. So the certain challenges will shape what sensor set is needed if you are in that extreme environment, and then certain cleaning solutions would be needed. This then impacts back into the virtual driver stack, especially the virtual driver stack which we built on, and we make sure that we are agnostic to those conditions, especially sensors, modularities, what we use, and it gives us the opening. So if you have a virtual driver which is built more kind of hard-coded or just to certain specific sensors, it might control your ODD. But we know the challenges in environment off-road segment we go in. So we built that agnosticity and also that design principle from the start in the stack we built.
The environments are extreme, and then you have pebbles, you have rocks, you have bugs, all sorts. But do you have to harden the sensors or build special casings around the sensors, depending on the environment where one of the Volvo Autonomous Solutions trucks will be operating?
We definitely pick the sensors. We do a design analysis where we understand what sensors for what environment are needed. The location positioning of those sensors, especially if I look in the off-road segment, you can see the debris which will be flying around. So you have to be very precise and intentional about where you position those sensors. And we do certain modeling and simulation to understand and observe it in real world condition. Then we also make sure that certain cleaning things, or in extreme weather, you have to address how the sensors have the right fluid to be controlled cleaning system in those extreme environments. We build that in. So we don't put all the complexity in the sensor itself. We try to remain that we can get from the market a robust sensor. And then we built the design principles to ensure that we put them in positions which are to the advantage for that use cases. And this helps us to remain agnostic. Otherwise, I think we will create too much complexities and dependencies, which will change the cost on.
And if you add on complexities, it gets expensive. And then it goes back to not being scalable because your CFO will not be a very happy camper.
Exactly. And this is where I say Volvo Autonomous Solution, not only safety, but also because we are running this as a transport service, we have this end ownership in mind. So it's not just developing the technology. We're looking at solving real business case safely and also delivering it to the targets for our
Do
customers.
you feel running it as a service gives you competitive advantage in the market?
Like I said, this is not the only model we will go for. At the moment, it gives us the competitive advantage in terms of taking the full ownership of the pain point with the customer gets. It comes with a lot of trust, especially in off-road segment. You have to build trust with our customers, and Volvo Autonomous Solutions have that credibility. We've been in Brunei for a few years now, and we're running that as a 24/7 operation. It gives us that trust that we can work with our customers and partners in the off-road segment. On the highway, it's a slightly different use case, but still, it might open up to different other business models as well. But for now, it gives us a strength, especially on highway, as I mentioned, on-road segment. You learn a lot. You understand the true pain point of the customer.
You understand the true point for the customer, and you personally understand product. Looking to the future, your chief product officer of Volvo Autonomous Solutions, what are you hoping to build from a product perspective in the future?
Well, so I think let me tell you first the challenge, complexity, and the responsibility of the challenge at hand really excites me. What I am aiming to build in Volvo Autonomous Solution for products perspective is not just a autonomous vehicle or autonomy enabled vehicle, a product solution, complete transport solution with which we solve real customer problems. Of course, the autonomous vehicle is one of the key parts of that. That's that of Paso stack. And the innovation we do is, I'm very proud of that for our team to develop that. But my goal is to solve real customer problems and be part of that journey with them. And that comes with building transport solutions and offerings where they get the value. And that's where my focus is. So I'm looking at the full holistic approach, not just at developing the autonomous vehicle.
I've advocated for the full holistic approach for a long time, and I believe it is the right approach. What's the motivating factor there? What's driving you to build that model?
Initially, it is, like I mentioned, the not to transfer the pain points, especially if the technology is new. Secondly is total cost ownership. But if you own it, you also can validate the assumptions you have made. And thirdly is the insight and in-depth experience you built by running it as a customer. So in future, when we open to new models and new approaches, we would open them with a position of strength. We would know exactly what the customer will go through. So we will know the customer journey far better than them when they take over, if that future comes.
Customer journeys, to be very frank, is one of the reasons that's made Salesforce so successful. They get in early and they understand the customer journey, and there's lots of public data to back up that statement there. Zooming out, as we look to wrap up here, overall, what are your thoughts today on the overall autonomous trucking market, and where do you see it going over the next decade?
Grayson, I think in the CS, our leadership and our CEO mentioned the autonomous trucking, especially US. Let's take just US for now. From 2010 to 2050, it will increase 5 times. So I don't see autonomous vehicles and autonomy as a innovation. It is crucial for that future. It is needed for that future to do with that amount of scale and speed and the challenges which are in that industry. Autonomy has a future, and we will bring true value to the customer. And then it will transform the industry, how the industry works. Because with autonomy will come new use cases, new ways, new data and learning points, which will help us to evolve. So we truly have a part of the future for that business segment. And not only that, I remain confident that what we are doing with our common approach, that we are ready for success. We are gearing up for success. We are enabling that success.
Autonomy is building the future. Volvo Autonomous Solutions is building the future. The future is bright. The future is autonomous. The future is Volvo Autonomous Solutions. Shahrukh, thank you so much for coming on the road to autonomy today.
Thank you, Grayson. Likewise, good talking to you.